I love talking about this topic. My name is Robert Gamal, and I'm excited to share with you the business value of our AI-powered business co-pilots. The past couple of weeks have brought incredible news from Microsoft, especially regarding autonomous AI agents across Microsoft Dynamics 365. Some of the major highlights have been over 2 million users are engaged with AI experiences in business applications each month. And we truly are an AI first company that's combining people, co-pilots, and agents. With these AI capabilities, customers are going to be able to leverage data from Dataverse, Azure Fabric, Microsoft Graph and Office, and of course, over 1,500 other systems via connectors. Today, we're here to talk about our role-based copilots, Copilot for sales, Copilot for service, Copilot for finance. These aren't new. We've been in the market. In fact, we've gone through several name changes, have many users coming out, and I'll dive into the specifics around how they really have the potential to be transformative with your business, right? So let's discuss how we can make this vision a reality in the age of AI. So to set the stage, we're really seeing how AI is transforming the workplace, whether it's through personally selected tools or those officially sanctioned by an organization. AI is now a fundamental part of how we work. In other words, business are not starting their AI transformation from the ground floor. People, like myself early on, are using AI in the workplaces. Many users are adopting these AI solutions, some officially approved and provided by your organization, and others brought on independently, highlighting how integral AI has become to driving productivity. And I want to establish this up front as it frames where our discussion is headed, specifically around customer engagement and relationship building and operational efficiency. Our work trend index report found that 75% of global knowledge workers are using AI at work, and that's doubled in the last 6 months. Okay. As you can see, most of those folks are bringing their own tools to work, right? That BYOAI, bring your own AI tools to work. And so when they don't have the guidance from leaders or they don't have the guidance from their organization, it brings risk. And frankly, based on the numbers of users that we're seeing using our Copilot applications or even some of those external ones like ChatGPT or other solutions, we know it's being used. And so if you're not using a provided solution from an employer, you're actually putting yourself and your organization at risk because that information could be going to an open site, and that's where you can't monitor the data that well. It's not wrapped in that security that Microsoft is uniquely positioned to deliver on. And we're the best option for that because you know you can control the data that's being used, and then you can ensure that it never leaves your organization. So let's talk about how this new technology is impacting the buyer's experience. Frankly, buyers are expecting self-service, personalized, and conversational experience in both digital and human components, right? But companies are struggling to uplevel the experience they offer to their customers. We can see that disconnect illustrated above by the inability to connect customer data and having that at their fingertips. Which brings us to the purpose or the foundation of today's discussion, the M365 Copilot. The reason I like to start with this is because, well, this is our foundation. It harnesses the capabilities of the largest language models like GPT-4 Turbo, and it combines that with your web activity, Microsoft Graph, and everyday applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams. This comprehensive context allows Copilot to provide smarter, more relevant responses, making it an indispensable tool for your workforce. We have over 1,000 plugins, Adobe, SAP, Workday, and many more. And all of this is safeguarded by Microsoft's renowned enterprise security, right? We had our earnings call a few weeks ago, and security was mentioned over 30 times during that call. So I can assure you that Satya and our leadership is extremely focused on this. You've also may have heard that the M365 Copilot is now the UI for your AI. Right? So this is your personal assistant for work. So to wrap this up, the key learning here is it's grounded in your data. It's integrated in your systems of productivity, and Copilot helps you be more productive personally and on your business processes. It knows your data. It knows what needs to get done. But the question is, what if we were to enable Copilot to leverage business processes within the organization and have it orchestrate those processes? That's the theme of what I'll be covering today. How we evolve from using this uber powerful M365 Copilot to bring value to our business processes with role-based copilots like sales, service, and finance. By this point, I've mentioned Copilot in many different ways, M365 Copilot, Copilot for sales, service. I want to just kind of get you familiar with our platform. because, by now we're familiar with the M365 Copilot, right? We've been hearing a lot of buzz because every single existing information worker with an Office account or an M365 account needs to get to a place where they can have a much higher productivity experience across their day-to-day tasks. And that's really the M365 Copilot. And as a part of that, we'll absolutely offer connectivity to the data in question and answer over different data sources like Dataverse and other connectors. But I think that there may be a limit to what you can do just in context chat and in that human-to-human interaction. And so that's why we're also offering specialized copilots for our business copilots. So we have our business copilot for sales, our copilot for service, and our copilot for finance. This, really represents a step up in a much more specialized and opinionated experience embedded into the M365 platform for a specific persona, like a seller, to make them more productive, or like an agent to have all of those knowledge sources at their fingertips, or even a finance professional to help them cut through the drudgery of a variance analysis or a data reconciliation process. But what if they're actually using our CRM? Well, that's where we have our ERP and our customer engagement off-the-shelf business app offerings, which we have a fully immersive, dedicated application experience that makes those dedicated professionals much, much more efficient. It's also super important because there are folks that don't necessarily live all day long in those systems of productivity, but instead they're actually in a primary workbench, like a customer service application. So this is for our specialized experiences that are optimized for certain types of workers out of the box. That's what we traditionally think of as our first party apps. And as we evolve to become more increasingly Copilot centric and AI first, the focus is on what does it take to be a better seller, marketer, or finance person, or a supply chain manager, right? And the ability to really tailor those things that come out of the box to the needs of the very specific personas and workflows is where Power and our copilots are. That's why the Power platform is increasingly the fastest way to go. We now have Copilot Studio that helps you build, connect, manage, extend your own copilots, and even build them from scratch. So delivering Copilot impact and process automation on top of everything else across the screen, and that definition shifts and changes as AI becomes more effective. And so really the take home here is that this is a complementary stack. It's not just about choosing one or the other. So if I'm a customer and I'm looking at the next 3 to 5 years of my industry and my users, I ask myself, hey, how do I put myself on ramp at every single one of these levels? How do I immediately get productivity benefit to all of my information workers in their general day-to-day productivity task? That's the left side of this graph. But then how do I also get to a place where my core business processes are also getting a lot more automated and frankly, a lot more autonomous? And you'll start to hear us use that word more as Copilot matures, agentic workflows, autonomous expert systems operating autonomously on behalf of a process or a company. Really, this is about saving time, cost, and toil in very specific business processes so that people can focus more on their day jobs and frankly, so that customers can carry a lot less of cost of burden. And so these are all tackling those inefficient processes, and that's more towards the right hand of your chart. And really our goal is to keep lowering that cost and increasing that productivity over and over again. So I wanted to set this stage, and now we're going to trickle in over to our role-based copilots, which are really those copilots tailored to the user in mind. One thing that I want to establish up front, I've already mentioned copilots and agents a couple of times. When I express copilot or agent, think of an iPhone or an Android as your copilot, and those agents being the applications within it. A copilot will serve as your personal private assistant working solely for you and enhancing your capabilities. There's a copilot for each individual, ensuring that there's personalized support for everyone. On the other hand, an agent is an expert system that operates autonomously on behalf of a person or a company. With significantly more agents than people, agents provide comprehensive support and automation across various business needs. These can either be user-defined or system-defined. I'll comment on different agents as each of our copilots as we cover them. But But I always like to hammer down, we need to start with the M365 Copilot. That's what it's all about, right? Getting the most out of that Microsoft graph and being able to bring those systems of productivity experiences to a seller, bringing those experiences that they're surfacing in Outlook and Teams and bringing that sales insights into that flow, or service as an agent. If I'm writing an email or I'm collaborating with a colleague, well, Copilot for Service is a benefit in my day-to-day because it makes me much more efficient. Or as a finance professional, right? So these are all of our different role-based Copilots. And of course, I'd be remiss to not mention Copilot Studio. As you know, it's our engine. This is the kind of area where we can go and build, configure, and extend M365 Copilot, built on our own custom Copilot solutions using our technology, or in the case of an example, being able to extend a first-party Copilot application. So Copilot Studio is really fundamental to our story of role-based Copilots, particularly in being in the world of kind of going and extending that product. So let's say, for example, for Copilot for Sales, if a seller needs more than just the CRM and perhaps they need a back-end invoice system, well, the way that you would realize that for them is by extending with Copilot Studio. Now you can surface that back-end system without making them leave their Outlook, without making them switch from Teams and begin hunting and pecking for information. So that's kind of our overview with Copilot for Sales. You get M365 Copilot, and if you want to go ahead and extend, you're going to need Copilot Studio. The same goes for service, the same goes for finance. So I'm going to dive into our first of Copilots, Copilot for Service. And really, it's all around solving the problems that reps are trying to resolve, which are customer issues, right? They're hitting a major roadblock, which is access to relevant data, the right technology tools. Imagine some of our reps are juggling up to 10 different systems or tools just to address a single customer issue. Take a moment to think about this. Do you know how many tools your reps are using? Think about kind of what their process or what their a day in the life looks like. What we found is that each day a rep handles a really high volume of cases, and the pressure is on to navigate these efficiently. They need access to customer issues and the ability to provide solutions efficiently. But here's the catch. In this process, it's actually very time consuming and complex. They spend a significant amount of time researching the intricacies of cases, scouring knowledge base articles, and even seeking out experts for solutions. But it doesn't stop there. They're also delivering on customer calls. They need to actively listen to customer needs. And instead of being sidetracked by the task of transcribing call notes into case records or drafting and updating knowledge documents, well, there's an influx of customer inquiries. So I think we get the picture here that addressing these issues is no small task, and most organizations, even our own, are grappling with constraints in time, money, resources, and expertise. So as we move forward, let's keep these challenges in mind and think about how we can streamline processes, how we can reduce the overload on our reps, and overall improve the customer experience. This is the problem statement that M365 Copilot for Service intends to solve. They are modernizing contact center and the workplace for customer service agents. Imagine now a typical service agent's day. They're still handling customer inquiries, but with Microsoft Copilot, we're gonna have them focus on higher value work, because now they have the tools to respond faster, more accurately, and without jumping between multiple systems. Our Copilot for Service integrates seamlessly with Salesforce, ServiceNow, Zendesk. This out-of-the-box connectivity means that agents can access insights and summaries from CRM data directly within their workflow. So whether they're in Outlook managing a mailbox for a customer service team, or they're in Teams on a call with the customer, right? So these are some of the different surfaces where that impact will be felt. In fact, one of the key impacts we're seeing is a 50% reduction in the volume of agent contacts. What that means is fewer interactions per issue and faster resolution time. So beyond that impact measure, we're seeing an increase in agent productivity, higher resolution rates, and of course, reducing time and reducing resource costs, right? So we're going to help you with operational savings as well. Let me show you what that experience looks like. What we're seeing with M365 Copilot service is that we're bringing in that CRM data, that natural language, that next generation AI brought in by M365 Teams and Outlook, and we're really embedding it into service solutions like Microsoft Customer Service or Microsoft Contact Center, or even third-party solutions, Salesforce, Zendesk, and so forth. But that doesn't stop. We talked about Copilot Studio earlier. So you can actually go ahead and extend to other third-party sources, whether they be on-prem or in the cloud. So long as we have that connector, we can surface that information for that agent, okay? So with a click, agents are now able to send out custom, context-aware responses to complex inquiries instantly via chat. They can also craft detailed and personalized responses in a fraction of time. So this Copilot for Service agent really is all about maximizing agent productivity in the flow of work. Similarly, let's take a look at how finance professionals benefit from Copilot for Finance. Finance is central to every organization, right? So teams own processes that span the company to support business strategy, keep organizational health in check, and comply with financial regulations. Today's finance world is complex and it's evolving. And we hear that from many leaders that are being challenged more than ever. On one hand, modern finance teams are poised and ready to take a larger role in driving business growth strategy, but also can't maintain or can't walk away from maintaining a critical, albeit operational set of responsibilities, right? And we're seeing here, right from our Microsoft Future of Finance Trends report, that 80% of finance professionals are stuck in the drudgery of operational work and are unable to do higher value added activities. This is where M365 Copilot can come in and be a game changer for finance analysts, accountants, controllers, or even treasury professionals. On the left-hand side, you'll see how Copilot seamlessly integrates with systems like SAP, Dynamics 365 Finance, Business Central, and of course, with our extending capabilities, it's really limitless. It offers advanced Outlook email integration, automates data entry and reconciliation by providing predictive analytics for cash flow forecasting, for example. And really, what does that mean? What is the business value of that? Well, it means that there are fewer manual errors and more accurate financial insights. Some potential agentic workflows, right? So those user-defined or system-defined autonomous workflows could be an agent that finance professionals can use to offload financial data preparation and cleansing to an agent. I mean, just think about that. A finance professional that now, when working with an agent, it can suggest a next best action in offloading even the reconciliation process, including data extraction, so that they can focus on those higher value activities. This is something that's working for you 24/7, so that when you get to your workstation, you're just maximizing your time. So imagine finance professionals making precise decisions based on deep insights into their workflows. With Copilot, we're seeing a 22% cost savings in handling time per account. And what that means is 22 minutes saved per account. Now let's think of a finance professional that has 100 accounts, that has 1,000 accounts, right? And let's say that they're working with other systems like Oracle, Sage, Infor, or even using custom connectors. With Copilot for Finance, these are the expected outcomes, okay? Including accelerating impact by, of course, delivering faster value and reducing costs in a very labor-intensive workspace. I'm going to go ahead and move on and show you what, for example, what one of these scenarios would look like in terms of streamlining data reconciliation. We can streamline financial period close and make data reconciliation more efficient. First, with intelligent data structure comparisons and guided troubleshooting in Excel, this helps a finance professional quickly identify and address discrepancies. Next, we can analyze results with an auto-generated report summary that highlights these discrepancies. Now, just imagine when you're looking at this report, it's letting you know, hey, this is what I think is a discrepancy and what you should do about it, making it easy to determine where an issue lies and what needs attention. Finally, troubleshooting and resolving discrepancies becomes much more straightforward with these recommendations and actions provided by Copilot. It'll significantly transform the way that your finance professionals spend their time. Instead of hunting and pecking for insights and rows of data, you can easily select the correct amount or invoice to reconcile those differences because it's highlighted for you. So in summary, Copilot for Finance accelerates the time to close and reduces costs by making data reconciliation faster and more accurate. I'm going to go ahead and move on to our third role-based Copilot. And if you're using a system like Dynamics or Salesforce, this discussion is for you. This is the M365 Copilot for Sales. I'm going to talk through the challenges we're addressing, walk through the solution, and share a demonstration to show exactly how it works. To set the stage, our research shows that very few people, including myself, wake up eager to use a CRM system. Personally, I find the CRM to be something I update weekly or monthly, frankly, out of necessity rather than enthusiasm. The reality is that most of us start our day in our productivity tools like the M365 Copilot. We start our day in Teams. We start our day in Outlook. We start our day in mobile, where we focus our moment and where our focus and our momentum is, right? So this creates a significant disconnect between those CRM systems of record, which need to be updated, which frankly guide me on the health of my business, and frankly my leadership is focused on, and the tools that we actively use to track tasks and manage communications, to update our forecasts and customer data. Because of this disconnect, where people are using spreadsheets, where people are using these personal productivity tools and exchanging emails with customers, there's significant administrative overhead in transferring that data from those tools into CRM systems, if it even happens, right? So whether you're a seller, a project manager, a consultant, a banker, or a business development rep, if you're working with CRMs, you're likely duplicating efforts, constantly jumping between platforms, and frankly facing the burden of updating CRM systems, which can be a serious administrative load. And like I made the point earlier, if it happens at all. The problem we're solving here is to cut down on that overhead and boost the time that sellers and customer-facing roles spend engaging with customers. We're tackling this by bringing the CRM functionality directly into those productivity tools like the M365 Copilot. These are the ones that you're already familiar with. They're the ones that you know and you love, right? This is the staple of Microsoft Office for the last almost 40 years. It's familiar, it's comfortable, it's where people are most productive. So what is this solution? Why is it going to help me? Well, M365 Copilot is going to help you because it's integrating CRM into the tools that you're using, streamlining workflow and eliminating friction. This AI assistant is designed specifically for sellers, for sales managers, and others involved in sales operations. At its core, the M365 Copilot integrates seamlessly with platforms like Salesforce Sales Cloud or Microsoft Dynamics 365 Sales, helping to bridge the gap between those CRM systems and those productivity tools. Imagine your sales team being able to draft email replies that pull in CRM data and insights automatically. Or consider the power of having email summaries with customer context, where CRM data informs every message, suggesting relevant actions or insights tailored to each sales interaction. Copilot can even draft documents like sales briefs, pulling directly from CRM records to keep everything accurate and consistent. During meetings, you can actually go ahead and access information and update summaries straight to the CRM. And of course, after those calls, you can draft an email or create tasks. But most importantly, keeping it all within tools like Teams, where your team is already active. Let's look at some of the key metrics that make Copilot impactful. With its integration, 85% of sales agents report completing tasks faster, which leads to higher customer satisfaction, faster sales cycles, and increased seller productivity. Imagine soon how a seller can have a sales assistant or a lead agent working 24/7 conducting lead research, automated initial outreach and follow-up, or a deal agent that proactively provides opportunity insights, including risks, engagement scores, or even maybe a meeting prep agent that can give customer insights, account qualifications, and opportunity insights such as, hey, what are those objections that I'll most likely face during this call? Or who are the stakeholders and what are those action items? So let's take a look at the capabilities that are available right now with the M365 Copilot for Sales, essentially removing that friction and updating the CRM system, allowing sellers to focus on what matters most, which is building strong relationships and closing deals. Here are these scenarios. You can see a quick view of Copilot for Sales in a meeting and all of the rich insights that you get from that. You're able to not only see a recording and a transcript of that meeting, but you're able to see the keywords that are mentioned, also any competitive brands that were mentioned. And most importantly, you can see what those follow-up tasks are and you can track them back to the system. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and show us what a day in the life could look like for a seller, right? Starting your day in M365 chat and working directly with the documents that matter most to you. With the power of M365, you'll be able to perform a quick analysis that would have otherwise taken you hours to complete. How you can go ahead and fire up your Outlook, right? And you can go ahead and generate an email or update a contact or create a brand new opportunity, all while having the peace of mind that you're sharing the right data that's relevant for your customers, and you're also updating the CRM, ultimately impacting your customer relationship and keeping you focused on closing those deals. Lastly, we'll see what a post-meeting experience looks like and what does a follow-up look like now in this new world with M365 Copilot for Sales. And then lastly, I'll show you how you can do some very impactful analysis using M365 Copilot in Excel. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up my Copilot here. And this is our M365 Copilot Assistant. This is a place where I can start my day to understand what's most important to me. Top of mind for me is having the ability to compare a couple of documents that have just been shared with me. So this is a comparison of our shipping warranty agreements, one that I've just been sent, and another that is brand new. And what I've written here is I want to say, hey, compare this shipping warranty agreement and the new agreement, and create a table listing all of their differences. And right away, almost instantly, M365 Copilot is able to see that the warranty period has changed. And not only that, but it lets me know where I can go in the text and where I can surface that information. Not only has it telling me that it's changed, but it's telling me exactly what has changed. And so just imagine you're doing this with an RFP, or just imagine you're doing this with a project plan. The insights and the use cases, frankly, are limited, but the business impact is clear. And that's, we're saving folks time from having to spend time in the drudgery looking for all of these differences, and instead allows me to go ahead and quickly get this output, go ahead and copy it and share it with my team and move on to the next task. I can also ask questions of this data. Now that I'm in M365 Copilot, I can ask more details on those warranty limitations. And this isn't something that my organization coded for me or had to use custom integration to build. This is right out of the box. But you're not limited to that. You can go ahead and configure these prompts based on your user. The whole purpose of this tool is to really optimize that information worker experience. So now that my team has this analysis complete, I can go ahead and work on the next task. And as a seller, I usually start my day in my inbox. So I'm going to go ahead and open my first email. And I can see it's from my customer, Evan Suarez. I see he sent me an email about an hour ago. And there's a ton of attachments with a call to action. On the right-hand side of my screen, I'm going to load up my handy dandy sales assistant, my Copilot for Sales. At the top, you'll recognize that familiar M365 Copilot branding, and you'll see that I'm on the sales. This is our sidebar, and this is where we're going to be spending the majority of our time. I can go ahead and create any new record type that I want. This is completely curated by my administration. So for example, if I don't have access to create certain kinds of records, whether I'm in Dynamics or I'm in Salesforce, then I will not be able to create those records in Copilot for Sales. And the reason is because Copilot for Sales with M365 Copilot respects the rights of that system of record. So your create, read, update abilities are all respected and sourced from that system of record, whether that be Dynamics or Salesforce. I also have the ability to conduct a global search across my CRM, and that's powerful. The reason that it's powerful is because we can see that Copilot for Sales is smart enough to know that I'm in context right now with Evan Suarez and all my related information from Evan Suarez, but maybe I want to look up a record that's not necessarily related to Evan Suarez and instead is another piece of the business. Sorry about that. Don't know why that happens. And now with Copilot for Sales, global search is what I'll do that. And similarly, if I have access to it in the CRM, then I'll have access to it, of course, in Copilot for Sales. And this is powerful here. I can go ahead and save this email directly to Salesforce, but not only that, I can go ahead and associate it with any opportunity or account that makes sense. Additionally, I'm able to save those attachments. If I want to just save a couple of them, or if I want to save them all, this is where I'll be able to do that. The reason that's powerful is because the next time that a customer, excuse me, a colleague of mine wants to view that information in CRM, not only will they see this saved email, but they'll be able to look at those attachments, knowing exactly what's going on in the roadmap of my customer, really being able to track what was that last interaction, what was the outcome of that, and where are we today. Here I get a summary of my recent communications, and you can see I've had a couple with my customer, Evan Suarez, most notably how he's complimenting M365 Copilot for Sales for supercharging his workforce. Here I can even summarize an email without having to go there. Right here in context, I get a summary of what was a long threaded email and the different questions that were asked in that thread, saving me time. I can go ahead and copy that, or I can go ahead and see exactly what point in the conversation this information was shared along with its source. So really powerful stuff, keeping your seller on one screen. Beneath that, we have our key sales information section. And the reason that this is important is because it brings me all of the pertinent information that I would need as a seller right at my fingertips. For example, it lets me know that I'm the account owner of this account. But not only that, I can actually go ahead and select the account and look at certain fields which are relevant to my job. These can be configured by your organization. Keep in mind that the purpose of this tool is to have a tailored and streamlined workflow. So for example, if industry is not a field that is relevant to you, we don't need to have it. And let's say that it's an internal customer number, a unique identifier that helps you run your business. Well, that's where this can be surfaced right here. And at any time, I can go into Dynamics or Salesforce and open it directly to surface those informations. But with the power of Copilot for Sales, you have all of this information at your fingertips and you don't need to context switch anymore. I'm able to see the contact information of this record. It's full information. So no more guessing, hey, who is this person? What's their role? What's their best contact number or their email? All of this is here. Okay. I can also, in part of mentioning Microsoft's testament to responsible AI, we can see that there are multiple references or citations as to where this information has been conjured from, where it's been brought together and surfaced for you using the power of AI. And I can go ahead and check on this and ensure that I'm getting that right level of accuracy that I need. And here, when we go into the suggested Salesforce contact section, we're really seeing our foray into guiding a seller to commit that next best action. So right away, what's being told to me is that, hey, we're seeing that this customer, Stephanie Hendo 10, that Evan Suarez has copied, is actually not in the system. You can go ahead and either create this as a lead or a contact. More to come on that later, but I want to show you just how it's thinking, hey, if you have multiple contacts in the system, well, this is another way that you can update that and ensure that they're up to date. I'm going to go ahead and click on that contact record. And right at the top of the contact record, we see the private notes section. And this is where a seller is able to keep those notes that maybe don't need to go to the CRM, but they want to keep top of mind. And here we can see that Evan's a champion, right, at his business. He understands the power of the One Microsoft Cloud and our industry-leading AI. So this lets me know that I can have those kinds of conversations with him and I have a champion in my business. Beneath that, I have my contact info section, and I want to pause here and talk about this for a moment because this is an example of one of our extensibility scenarios. This is sourcing information from people.ai, a third-party solution that we're seeing many of our customers leveraging to augment their Salesforce information. And so as a seller, this information is important to me, but it's not necessarily appearing in the CRM. This is where Copilot Studio can go ahead and extend on top of the M365 Copilot for Sales and bring in that rich data. So no more hunting and pecking between my Outlook, my CRM, and now a third-party system. What we're looking at is the power of all three of those solutions that are important for me to do my job on a single screen in front of me. And I get powerful insights like the level of engagement and its predicted buying power. The influence doesn't stop there. If I need to go ahead and make changes to a record, I don't need to go to the CRM. I can go ahead and change any of these fields directly. And it's supported by a bidirectional update. So when I hit update, that update takes place in real time, and I can go to the CRM and ensure that that data has been reflected so that the next time I open up this contact, those details have been reflected there. We also have different forms here. I can see the account form, cases form, or related items. Starting with, for example, the related items, think about it as your wall of activity. I can see that there were customer discussions, a meeting. I could see that there were different emails, and I can dive into them if I need to. But I have a complete 360-degree view of my interactions or my business's interactions with Evan Suarez. I decided to include cases here, but I want to mention to you that you can actually include any kind of entity or custom object that is relevant for your business. So for example, like I mentioned earlier, if purchase orders or quotes is an entity or an object that is important for your seller to have at their fingertips, well, with Copilot for Sales, we support custom and standard objects and entities, and this is where they could surface. I'm going to dive into the account section here and show you just all the rich information that you get when you're using that. So once again, we're getting people.ai surfacing integration. We're able to see those pertinent account details, all those opportunities. And here's yet another example of a back office integration. So leveraging, once again, Copilot Studio, I can tap into SAP and I can bring all that invoice data, and it recognizes who I'm working with. The way that that works is I've actually credentialed myself in SAP, and it knows in context who I am, and protects, restricts the data that I have access to. So this is all something that your administrator can define. And then lastly, I want to mention our Teams room. And so being that this is an M365 product, we have a deep integration with Teams. And so part of the power behind that is you can spin up a deal room. Let's say I'm looking at an opportunity here and I need my best sellers, and maybe I need some folks from legal, and maybe I need to build a small swarming team to look at this opportunity. Well, with the power of Copilot for Sales, in a single click, you can actually put together a deal room where you have all of these different personas collaborating on the CRM record in real time. So no more, hey, can you send me the latest copy of this? Everybody has that information in their fingertips on a single screen. I'm going to go ahead and move on to another scenario here where we get an email from a customer, Ashley Greenbergensteiner, and she's essentially saying, hey, I'm looking for support on a new project. This is someone that's unknown to me. And so we could see the difference immediately on that side panel that there's no data in the CRM. And so that's a challenge for us because it's not producing any of those next best actions or insights. But right away, I can see that there's a suggestion to go ahead and add this contact to the system. And when I select add as a contact, what you'll see is that a contact card has been automatically populated with all of the rich data that was found in that signature block. This is a game changer, right? So now just imagine in the past where you would have to go ahead and open up your CRM, go to the create contact section, make sure you're on the right form, and then begin to pound in those details where you might actually mistype some of the information or might not get to it at all because it's just such a drudgingly toiling process to get done. What you've seen now is with the power of Copilot for Sales, we're not only saving your sellers time by having them populate a contact card that's immediately going to be updated in your CRM, but we're also helping with your data hygiene. We're also telling you, hey, look, now you're going to be producing quality data in your system. And as an organization, as Microsoft is an organization that drinks their own champagne, we're using this day in and day out. And one of the major insights we had was this capability right here. We would share emails with our customers, but had no idea they weren't in the CRM system until we turned on Copilot for Sales and we were alerted, hey, this customer is not in the CRM. And as a result of that, it's not producing insights for your business. So we had a huge increase in contacts that were added to the CRM, an increase in data hygiene, and an all around just improvement for our sellers. Okay. So I'm going to move ahead and jump into Copilot for Sales in our calendars. And when I do that, as I'm preparing for an upcoming meeting, I can see that familiar sidebar panel that comes with Copilot for Sales. As that Copilot for Sales panel loads, it's actually reasoning across my Microsoft Graph data and across those CRM contexts. And that's really powerful. As I scroll down, I'm able to see those recent communications as well as what this record was connected to. Here we have an AI generated summary about all the relevant opportunity information that is associated with this meeting. We can see that we have an expected amount of over $3 million for this deal, and the opportunity close date is about in 2.5 weeks. And we can see the current stage. And then what's really powerful here is I'm able to capture all of my notes that were taken from the CRM and are now surfacing in my pre-meeting readout. So when I think about approaching a meeting with the customer to build trust and be more informed, this is really powerful. Now this is a new tool in my tool set where I don't need to go to the CRM to prep and figure out where we're at, what are those products, what is the stage, what are those action items, what did I need to ensure before that next meeting took place. I can go directly to Copilot for Sales and I can see all of that information. Additionally, we see those familiar fields, right? We see the opportunity to actually go ahead and add a contact or access contact information. What I'm going to go ahead and do now is show you some of the things that you can do with the data directly from M365. I can go ahead and create a deal room around this opportunity, something that I mentioned a little earlier, where you can build a swarm team to go heads down and look at a record and share information and create tasks and have those tasks go back to the CRM, making sure that data isn't lost, right? Really solving that disconnect problem. Also, we can go here and I could open this record in Salesforce. So let's say for some reason I need to go back to Salesforce or Dynamics. This is where I can go and do that. And it'll bring up that record for me in context. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and just copy this link. And when I do that, I'm going to jump into a deal room that I had created for this opportunity and really send a call to action for my team. And it's really an opportunity support request. And so what I've done is I've sent this message, hey, Benjamin and Spencer, I'm meeting with this customer and I could really use your help in assisting with this opportunity. And what I've done here is I've gone ahead and I've just pasted this opportunity record. And when I go ahead and do that, it's checking and ensuring that every single person in that chat has the appropriate rights and has the right level of security to be able to interact with this CRM record. And this is powerful, right? Because it ensures that that record isn't going into the wrong hands and that everybody that can see this message does. If you're not able to see this message, then you'll be prompted with a form that says you do not have the right permissions. But here we can ensure that everybody on this deal team is tracking towards this opportunity record, is able to see what all the latest activity is and have the power of accessing this record and making any changes. But if I need to go ahead and access a different record, let's say that I want to go ahead and access Copilot for Sales in Teams and I want to pull in a different record, I have the ability to also do my global search here. This is sorted by those that I most recently worked with, as you might recognize some of the familiar titles. But if I need to go ahead and send the information to that primary stakeholder, like Susan Burke, this is where I'll do that. And that same authentication is checking to make sure that everybody can see Susan Burke, because just because you have access to certain objects or entities in the system doesn't mean you have access to all objects and entities in the system. And so now that I can trust that my team is informed and prepared and helping me get ready and deliver the best value to my customer, I'm going to continue taking advantage of the power of M365 Copilot's tools. So I'm going to go ahead and review my last meeting that I had with the customer. And this is really where we're seeing M365 Copilot and Copilot for Sales coming together to derive a lot of value. I can see, starting off, I could see in my recap section a full recording of that section, along with the transcript of what was said. I can scroll down to the bottom and I can see what that talk to listen ratio was and get a sense of who was speaking when. And I can even go to that point in the conversation and listen to maybe a monologue from Alan Steiner or a short response from Benjamin McPhee. Instantaneously, when you record and transcribe, your meeting notes are generated for you. So you can go ahead and be eyes up, focused on the customer instead of scrapping notes together and trying to keep up with the presentation. That's just some of the power behind M365 Copilot. But it doesn't stop there. It actually writes out those follow-up tasks for you so that you can ensure who is responsible to getting them done, but also what it is that they need to do by when. right? So this is where that Copilot for Sales differentiation comes on top of that M365 Copilot value with a twist. Check this out. So one of those post-meeting actions that are exclusive to Copilot for Sales is the ability to draft a summary email to those meeting participants. And this is huge, right? We're seeing that this capability alone is saving sellers and information workers a lot of time. What we're seeing is that that draft email is based on those generated AI transcription notes, right? That includes those follow-up tasks and what was said and so forth. But you can go ahead and edit that to make sure that the information that's represented in that follow-up email is accurate, or if you want to add additional information that was not discussed during that meeting, this is where you'd be able to do that. And notice how in the previous screen, there were a ton of follow-ups, but it didn't have the ability to go ahead and create that task and generate it in your CRM. So this is uniquely positioned for Copilot for Sales because it knows that a seller needs to get this data into the CRM, and creating a task directly from Teams is how you would go ahead and do that. And you can assign it to yourself or whomever is the one that needs to execute that task. But the key point here is that that information is no longer just living and dying in Teams. It's now making its way to the CRM so that the next person can pick it up and track it towards success. I'm also, as a seller, I want to know what questions are landing. I want to know what the theme of that conversation was. So I get a talk to listen, I get all those keywords mentioned, and that's really insightful because as a seller, I want to know what these themes are. For example, was it all about training, or was it around pricing, or maybe it was both? But that's some really powerful information. I also want to mention a capability that is helpful for a seller or an information worker after a meeting. So right after a meeting or during the meeting, I can go ahead and ask it, hey, what's going on with this meeting? Catch me up with what I've missed. So if you're like me and you're running from meeting to meeting and sometimes you join 5 minutes or admittedly sometimes a little later, no worries. You don't need to interrupt that meeting any longer. And you can ask Copilot, your AI assistant, in that meeting while it's going on, what's going on? Was my name mentioned? Do I have any action items? So that you can come in and immediately add value to that conversation without having to stop the flow of creativity and problem solving that's going on. But after a meeting, you can see here, I invoked Copilot and I can ask it, hey, what questions are unresolved as a starting point? And not only that, it's also giving me a suggestion as to how to solve that question, right? Saying, hey, look, Alan should follow up with his manager to discuss those potential pricing adjustments. Why? Because pricing adjustments was an open item. And kind of, hey, what is that training option that was available? And that suggestion. But it doesn't stop there. You can ask it to give you opinions, analysis, creating tables. It's really, the only limitation is your creativity. So this is another really powerful tool that we're seeing that our customers are just loving. Lastly, I want to show us what those experiences look like in Microsoft Excel. And so what I've done here is I've gone ahead and gotten an export from the CRM system. And just to spend a moment here orienting you, we can see information listed by industry, by customer name, by product name, and product category. And if I scroll to the right here, you'll see different kinds of metrics related to discounting, pricing, and quantities purchased, right? So pretty standard information. And if I go ahead and I just select show my data insights, what it's going to start doing is M365 Copilot is going to start reasoning over this Excel spreadsheet and begin to analyze that range of data. And what it's doing is it's saying, hey, listen, what are some thoughtful metrics that I can go ahead and produce for this person? And what it just did is saying, hey, look, I'm going to take a look at the total order value by purchase date so that I can get this graph and understand, hey, as time goes on, what are the values of my purchases? But you don't need to follow the insights that are provided for you. Here, I'm going to enter my own custom prompt in natural language and say, hey, can you show a line graph of the quantity purchased of product name over time by purchase date? And that's pretty powerful, right? I don't need to spend time now messing with the pivot or learning how to do the formula and then finally getting it onto a spreadsheet right away in a moment's notice. I can go ahead and have that visualization done to me, making it, I have my data analyst right with me and I can come with those insights a lot quicker. What I went ahead and did is I actually asked it for a couple of data insights just to show you what those data visualization insights can look like. And it's really limitless. Like the previous scenario, taking advantage of Copilot is it has no limit. It's really how well you can ask it questions. And so we're seeing a ton of different graphs here. And most importantly, hey, show me your work, right? Here are the pivot table sources for all of these charts. So allowing for a seller to be able to interact with and understand and really get down into the level of that business impact instead of focusing on mastering formulas and other technical capabilities that really aren't needed to drive business value. What we care about is that output. And so I just kind of want to rehash what we just looked at. We looked at a different scenario starting off in M365 chat, and we really kind of looked at how different agreements and those differences between those agreements were made. We were able to see that analysis in real time. In fact, as I was explaining it, it had already finished analyzing and told me to go on to the next topic. That next topic was spending my time in Microsoft Outlook. We went through a Harvard tour of what M365 Copilot for Sales brings, showing you how you can create, edit, or search across your entire CRM while staying in context of that seller. You also saw how I was able to save not only an email to the CRM, but also its associated attachments, right? So really empower the next person or even yourself. The next time you want to know what's going on that customer roadmap, you go to the CRM or you go to Copilot for Sales, and that's where you can actually go ahead and access it. Additionally, you saw a couple of extensibility scenarios. You saw how we can interact with our SAP system to bring on that invoicing data or our third-party data enrichment platform to see information that doesn't necessarily exist in Dynamics or Salesforce, but instead resides in a third-party system. That's where Copilot Studio can come in and surface that for you. Additionally, you saw how I spun up a deal room and I was able to collaborate in real time in teams across that CRM data. And then lastly, based on that meeting recap, I was able to, without any pain or toil, go and draft an email and send it to all the participants, or how I was able to create tasks directly from Teams and have them end up in the CRM. And what we finished off with was just looking at an Excel chart and being able to quickly ask it questions and look at a data set without having to memorize formulas or understand different technical capabilities in order to get that business value. So I want to leave you with a couple of resources here. We have about 5 minutes left. Today, what we covered was the M365 Copilot, but not only that, we discussed the M365 Copilot for our role-based personas, sales, service, and finance. We also talked about extending with Copilot Studio and how these different role-based Copilots work with our CRM, Dynamics 365, and others. So there's a ton of information where you can go ahead and learn more around each of those respective solutions. As a next step, if you find that your business is in need of a deeper dive and to see how we can tailor those specific use cases to really drive the value out of Copilot for Sales, Service, or Finance, or even the M365 Copilot, reach out to your account executive and see how we can prepare an art of the possible for you. And we can showcase how these different capabilities can really drive impact for your business. And this is not a new solution for us. So we have a ton of customer evidence sliced by industry and different workloads. So please check out our customer stories. And so essentially what we want to do here is really make sure that you're immersing yourself in the latest research findings, latest AI capabilities, and by visiting our customer evidence library. So once again, please reach out to your account executive. Thank you for the opportunity to share this information with you, and I hope you found it valuable.